In this video, I want to show you where to purchase vehicles once you've obtained a dealer's license, and I also want to talk about proven negotiation strategies, whether you're buying a vehicle from an individual or maybe you're selling a vehicle on your lot. So, as I have stated in my dealer training courses all over the country, I have always felt that the very easiest part of this business is when you have a vehicle cleaned and prepped and frontline ready to go, that vehicle is sold. It is very rare when you have to take a vehicle back to a dealer auction. And if you've done that once or twice, you're going to learn of what type of vehicles to avoid. So the longer you're in business and the more experience you have, you can come to a point where you never ever take a vehicle back to a dealer auction. So in my opinion, the easiest part of having a dealer's license is selling the vehicles on your lot. The hardest part of this business is constantly going out and finding vehicles to purchase that you can bring back to resell on your lot. Always remember, we cannot make money selling vehicles with the dealer's license until we first purchase a vehicle to resell on the lot. And you might assume that you're going to buy all your vehicles at a dealer auction to resell on your lot, and that's awesome. Sometimes dealer auctions can get a little bit competitive, and there are going to be some days at the dealer auction when everything seems to be going really high. And there could be times that you spend an entire day either at the dealer auction or bidding online and don't purchase a single vehicle, because there are days when things tend to go really high. There are actually many other ways that you can purchase vehicles from resources other than dealer auctions. A great way to make money with your dealer's license is to purchase vehicles directly from individuals in your area. So you can study online versions of your newspapers. That's a great resource for you. You should also keep an eye on Craigslist, eBay, Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace has exploded for being a market for dealers to purchase vehicles from individuals. And you can always view your local buying opportunities on Craigslist and view your local market on eBay, obviously searching within a certain zip code. Many dealers I know right now are buying massive amounts of vehicles from individuals on Facebook Marketplace. So you always need to know vehicle pricing so you know when that great deal is to be had, okay? There was a time when I was literally purchasing about half of my inventory on Craigslist. I found that if you're the very first one that shows up at the door with cash, well, cash really talks. And I've made some really great buys in my area using Craigslist, also Facebook Marketplace, and I have found some vehicles locally on eBay. Another resource that you might not have heard is Backlot Cars. So if you haven't heard about Backlot Cars, it's probably because you may not have a dealer's license yet. But when you get your dealer's license, you will definitely hear about Backlot Cars. Backlot Cars allows licensed dealers to bid on franchise trade-ins before they actually take them to the dealer auction. So when a franchisee, such as your local Ford, Chevy, or Toyota dealership, takes a great trade-in, sometimes they will post those vehicles on Backlot Cars. And so a great benefit about Backlot Cars is that they use third-party inspectors that will go take a look at the vehicle on that franchisee's lot and inspect it before it's actually listed on Backlot Cars. So they give a real detailed vehicle inspection report. So, when you're getting a third-party non-biased inspection report on a vehicle, that's going to give you the confidence in bidding on that vehicle online, such as with a service like Backlot Cars. If you purchase a vehicle on Backlot Cars, you can have that vehicle delivered right to your dealership normally the next day. So they also offer floor plans and short-term loans. So, for example, if you have an account on Backlot Cars, you can bid on franchisee trade-ins, have that vehicle delivered to your dealership the next day, and sometimes you can float the note and have up to 45 days to pay Backlot Cars for that vehicle you purchased. Pretty cool, huh? And I'm not affiliated with them whatsoever. They don't pay me to say that. I just think that that's a great resource for any licensed dealer to purchase vehicles on the lot. So you can learn more at backlotcars.com. So remember, you got to have your dealer's license before you can utilize Backlot Cars or OVE or anything like that. So let's go ahead and talk about making a buy from an individual. Okay, it's very important that you prepare yourself and know how to buy a vehicle from an individual. When you're buying vehicles from individuals, you're soon going to learn that sometimes an owner thinks the vehicle that they own is worth much more than it actually is. They might have a sentimental attachment to that vehicle. Maybe they bought it brand new and, maybe they want to sell it for much more than it is actually worth. Stay away from the sentimental owner, because you can probably find that same vehicle at a dealer auction for several thousands of dollars less. So let's talk about making the buy. When you've established that the vehicle title is in the name of the person that's selling it, and we talk about that extensively in a couple of other videos here, but Always arrive right on time, and if you can, try to bring cash. Cash is a dealer's best friend. Cash offers will cause some sellers to accept well under their asking price. So before making an offer, make sure to inspect the vehicle, ask the seller if the vehicle has ever had any problems, while paying very close attention to their reaction when you ask them if they've had any problems. Let's say you ask that seller, have you had any problems with the vehicle? If they hesitate a little bit, look around a little bit nervously and say something like, no, no, haven't had any problems, no, well, then he or she could be lying and could be aware of a hidden mechanical problem that they're not disclosing, so watch that individual's reaction when you ask them if they've ever had any problems with that vehicle. Now, if that seller answers your question with a very confident, no, I've never had a single problem with this car since I purchased it. It's been an awesome vehicle. While looking directly in the eye, he or she's probably going to be telling you the truth on that one. So always watch that seller's reaction when you ask them if they've had any problems. It's a great idea to take that vehicle to your mechanic before making the offer. This is also a great way to find out if you got any significant repairs that could dip into your profits. So as you become more experienced, you're going to be able to check that vehicle's condition with a test drive and kicking the tires. I strongly recommend when you're purchasing vehicles, either from individuals or maybe you're buying vehicles at dealer auctions, you should certainly invest in what's known as a vehicle diagnostic code reader. And look, I want to show you a vehicle diagnostic code reader on Amazon. These start at $49. A few years ago, you could not purchase these for less than $1,500. So a vehicle diagnostic code reader allows you to run a quick vehicle diagnostic check on any vehicle that you're thinking about purchasing it. Like I said, whether you're buying that vehicle from an individual or maybe at a dealer auction, you definitely want to run the vehicle diagnostic code, okay? These work on most vehicles that are 1996 or newer and normally will have a plug-in that's just behind the steering wheel, though they easily allow you to determine the cause of a check engine light, or you can't actually turn off the check engine light or erase trouble codes, or they monitor O2 sensor data, which you certainly want to be aware of if you're in an area that requires emissions. It's going to show misfire problems, fuel system problems, air conditioner problems, exhaust and gas problems, and many, many other vehicle diagnostics. These things are like gold. I feel like a vehicle diagnostic reader is basically a cheap insurance policy on every vehicle that you're purchasing to ensure you're not buying a vehicle with some huge unforeseen mechanical problem. So they're definitely well worth the money. Check those out on Amazon or wherever you shop for your stuff. If you've established the vehicle is titled by the person selling it and the mechanical condition is good, then you're ready to make your offer. And as stated before, cash is the dealer's best friend. Some sellers will not take a personal check, and they may not even take a check from your dealership. So many sellers will either insist on payment in the form of cashier's check or cash. I've never talked to a seller that wouldn't take cash. So if possible, try and bring cash if you can. When making the offer, let that customer know that you are a dealer and you fully intend to resell the vehicle on your lot. Let them know that you're a dealer. You don't need to hide that from them. Mention that you will have to do some things to make that vehicle retail ready. And do this without making any unnecessary negative comments about that vehicle. This is that seller's personal car, and negative comments about that vehicle can really be taken personal by that seller. So just say something like, hey, you've kept this car in excellent condition, but I am going to need to put on some new tires and fix that broken tail light and maybe install a new stereo to bring it up to retail selling condition. Then make your offer and just say, I can give you $8,500 cash. Will that work for you? Say something just like this. I can give you $8,500 cash. Will that work for you? Then you say absolutely nothing. During negotiations, the first person that speaks loses, okay? So no matter how tempting or how long a silence follows your initial offer, don't say a word. Let the seller respond first. This gives the seller the time to think about your offer and hopefully accept it. This statement does not invite a no answer from the seller, such as you just say, hey, will you take 85? They're obviously just going to say no to that. Make sure and state your offer in the full amount of $8,500 cash. This sounds like a lot more money when you're stating thousands and hundreds than 85 or 8,500. So always make sure you give the full price verbally, like $8,500 cash instead of 85. This statement also makes the seller think it will work for them when you say, will this work for you? Instead of just coming back with an automatic no to your offer. The answer you look forward to hearing will hopefully be yes, that will work for me. So if the seller states that your offer will not work for me, ask that seller what price they're expecting to receive. If their lowest price is much higher than what you are willing to pay, then thank them for their time. Always be courteous, give them a big smile, shake their hand firmly. Before you leave, make sure to write down your offer on the back of your dealership business card and tell them that offer stands for 7 days. Explain to the seller that in 7 days your offer will expire because you will be investing that cash into another vehicle. This can add a sense of urgency, and very often you can get your offer accepted after the seller has had time to think over it for a day or two. This happens a lot. If the seller says something like, there's absolutely no possible way in the world I would ever think about selling this vehicle for less than $10,000, well, there's an excellent chance that they might be firm on that price, okay? When this happens, once again, leave that card with your 7-day offer. Be as polite and positive as you possibly can, and always leave on a really positive note by telling that seller, I'd like to wish you the very best of luck with the sale of your car, and I invite you to call me at any time if there's ever anything I can do for you. Have a great day. If you don't get to buy on the first try, you've left a really positive professional image in the mind of that seller, and they're not going to forget the respect that you paid them and the compliments that you made on their vehicle. So the seller will remember your demeanor, and there's a fly flying around in here. Did you see that? The seller's going to remember your demeanor and will contact you before they call an individual that did not treat them with a positive professional attitude. Always remember, as a licensed motor vehicle dealer, you're going to be the professional. Your customer will look to you for information, and you're going to be guiding the transaction. You're going to be in charge of every situation, whether you're making the buy or maybe you're making the sell. The more you know about your state's laws and regulations, the more cars you sell, the more money you're going to make, and the less likely you'll ever be involved in any type of future litigation because you did not disclose information. Okay, so we made that buy. Okay, we're going to bring that vehicle back to our lot. We're going to clean it up, front line ready, put that FTC buyer's guide on there. We've got some videos on that. Make sure and put the FTC buyer's guide on that vehicle, clean it up, front line ready, and now you're going to start making your money, okay? So how do you make a sell to an individual? The most common way your dealership's going to make money is selling vehicles on your lot to individuals. There are wholesalers out there that make good money, but they're far and few between. The majority of profits in this industry are when you do have a retail license and you're selling to the world. The world is your market. So, when a customer comes on your lot, always greet them with a big smile and a firm handshake. First impressions mean everything. So your professional demeanor is going to reflect the professionalism of your dealership. Your customers want to know they're dealing with a reputable business that is ready to meet their needs. So you've got to greet and treat every single customer as a potential buyer. A person that's wearing worn and torn clothing could very well be a serious buyer that has done their research and has a large amount of cash in their pocket, and they're ready to buy right now. So never ever judge a person by the way they're dressed. If you don't treat every single person at your dealership with complete respect, they will take their money down the street to another dealership. So you must assume that that person, no matter what their appearance is ready to purchase a vehicle from you. They're thinking about making a very important purchase, and they want to be catered to. And, that's basically your job to do that. Make every effort you can to establish a rapport with every person that walks into your dealership or onto your dealer lot. If your customer finds a car that they're interested in, they will, of course, want to ask for the inevitable test drive. It's very rare for a customer to buy a vehicle without a test drive first. So, what I always do when someone says, hey, I want to take a test drive, I'll say, hey, that is excellent. That's great. I need to get a copy of your driver's license and your proof of insurance. Okay. So there's two advantages to this. And some state laws require this, some do not. But by requiring your customer to give you a copy of their driver's license and their proof of insurance, number one, you know who has your demo with their driver's license, but also you know that they currently have insurance coverage. And what I found out here, there are companies out there, insurance companies, that will reimburse dealers when one of their clients has wrecked a dealer demo. Okay, even if they don't have full coverage insurance, there's a chance that that customer that has liability policy right now, and they go out and wreck your demo, then you will be able to at least get some financial recourse against their insurance company. No matter what, they're covered because you have to have insurance on your inventory. But if your customer goes out and wrecks one of your demos and they have absolutely no insurance whatsoever, well, you're going to see your dealer insurance go through the roof. So I always required customers to show me their physical proof of insurance before they ever test drove any of my inventory. And I've literally seen persons drive their vehicle on my lot, I ask them for proof of insurance, and they say, well, I don't have any proof of insurance. Well, they're driving illegally. Every state in the country requires a driver has proof of insurance. So there was no way they were taking a test drive of any vehicle on my lot unless they showed me their proof of insurance. I also know of a scenario where you want to get that driver's license. I know of a scenario where a Yamaha dealer allowed a young man to take a test drive, and he asked for a photograph ID, and that young man stole that motorcycle. So the Yamaha dealer called the police. The police came in, looked at his ID, drove straight to his house, and there's that stolen motorcycle. So sometimes vehicle thieves may not be the smartest people in the world. So always, if before you allow that test drive, I strongly encourage you to get a copy of that customer's ID and their proof of insurance. Always tell your customer they're welcome to test drive that vehicle, take it to a mechanic, have it checked out. This tells the customer that you're honest and you have absolutely nothing to hide. If you do know of a mechanical fault, tell that customer before they take the test drive. So you never want that customer to come back from a test drive and tell you they noticed something about that vehicle that you did not disclose. So I'd always tell my customer, hey, before you take the test drive, this car was pulling to the left a little bit the other day, heard a little bit of noise back in the rear end, and before you take the test drive, come on back over here. There's a dent here in the back left fender. So I always made sure and disclosed everything I knew to a customer before the test drive. They're going to find it out anyway as soon as they drive that vehicle. So you might as well disclose it in advance. And that way you're going to build credibility with that customer. If this customer does not buy a vehicle from you, he or she is going to tell others about your honesty. I can almost guarantee it. And this honest reputation is going to drive future business to your dealership. But by not disclosing vehicle faults to the customer, they will not trust you, and it will immediately tell several people that you're crooked, that you're dishonest. So a bad reputation spreads much, much faster than a good reputation. So a bad reputation is something also a dealer can never get rid of. If you're known as a dishonest dealer, it will be much, much harder for you to move your inventory than what are known as the honest dealers. So when you're making that sale, the best thing you can do for your business is disclose everything you possibly can about that vehicle. You're going to be very, very glad you did. So your goal, of course, is to sell the vehicle. When the customer returns from the test drive, they have probably decided whether or not they're going to purchase that vehicle. If they do not want the vehicle, they might say something like, I think I'm just going to keep looking. Be sure to ask them exactly what they're looking for. Try to find out every detail of the type of the vehicle that your customer wants and let them know that you can probably find that exact vehicle they're looking for at a price they can afford because you'll be at the dealer auctions or bidding online, okay? If a customer does not want to purchase a vehicle, just let them know that you can possibly find that exact vehicle at a dealer auction at a price they can afford. Another method of finding the exact vehicle for your customer is what's called OVE. OVE is a part of Manheim Auctions Dealer Exchange Network. So when you obtain your dealer's license, you will easily be able to log on to websites like Manheim, ADESA, OVE, and several other thousands, where you can locate several thousands of vehicles for sale. And on OVE, for example, you can actually sit down at your customer and with your customer, look up a vehicle that's for sale, and you can hide the actual wholesale price. So you can tell the customer, I can get this vehicle for you tomorrow. You don't have to show them what the wholesale price is. You can tell them, let's say, for example, that wholesale price on that vehicle is $3,000, and you can tell that customer, I can have this right here tomorrow for $59.95, and then you bid. When they agree to that, you buy that vehicle and get it shipped to your dealership. OVE is something you definitely need to be aware of once you get your dealer's license. Obviously, you can't get on there unless you have your dealer's license. So, you'll be able to log on to these auction websites throughout the country. You can just simply log on, type in the year, make, and model that your customer is looking for, and you'll usually find several vehicles throughout the country that will meet your customer's exact demand. So, they're normally going to have pictures, vehicle condition reports, and things like that. And then after viewing that, your customer can decide whether or not they want to buy that vehicle, or maybe they don't. So, as a licensed dealer, you are going to be able to find the exact car your customer wants every time. So if you want to spend a little time with them, this can certainly be very advantageous once you have your dealer's license. So never let a customer that is looking for something leave without telling you exactly what they're looking for and that you can buy it. So you can find any vehicle that your customer is looking for, hopefully. Now, if your customer returns from the test drive and they're showing some positive buying signs, this is where your work begins, okay? Your customer will usually tell you the things they did not like about the vehicle in an attempt to reduce their asking price, to reduce their offer, okay? A common statement is something like, I really like this car, but it's priced more than I was willing to spend, or, this car's okay, but it's really not the color that I want. Statements like this are actually a great sign because it shows that customer wants the vehicle, but they may be ready to submit a low offer. So let's just say, for example, your asking price for that vehicle on your dealer lot is $10,000. The customer may attempt to purchase the vehicle at a largely reduced price by stating something like, "Oh, I'll give you $5,000 for it." Your first instinct for a lowball offer such as this may be to say something like, "No way, you're wasting my time. Come back when you want to make a real offer." Well, this is a huge mistake. Always stay positive at all times, no matter how low the customer's offer is. When a customer submits an offer much lower than the asking price, they are normally waiting for a counteroffer. Never discuss whether or not an offer is acceptable on the lot. After the customer makes that verbal offer, say something like, "Okay, come on inside the office and let's see where we're at on this." Or maybe you could say something like, "Let's go inside and see what we can come up with to get you into this car." Never disregard a customer offer, no matter how low. Get your customer inside to try and close the deal, no matter what. They've made an offer, they're ready to buy. So when you get your customer inside, try to make them feel as comfortable as possible by offering them a seat, give them a drink like a bottled water, maybe a cup of coffee. Sit down to your computer and figure out exactly what you've invested that vehicle before you give that customer your counteroffer. A good negotiation technique is to give your customer counteroffers in decreasing increment amounts in writing. So let's say your first counteroffer is $1,000 off your asking price. Put on the piece of paper and write down an amount that's $1,000 lower than your asking price, then show the price to the customer. If your customer gives another higher counteroffer that's not acceptable to you, then you can reduce the price in writing by $500, and on a third counteroffer, only reduce it by $250. By lowering your counteroffers and decreasing increments, you are letting your customer know that you are very near your lowest acceptable offer. This is a very effective negotiation strategy, so try to price your vehicles high enough to allow you to drop that price by $2,000 to $3,000 and still sell that vehicle for a profit. You might also state something like, if I lower the price of the amount written on this paper, can I earn your business today? Always be closing. We're dealers, ABC. Always be closing. If the customer says yes, congratulate the customer, assume you have the sale, and begin the necessary deal paperwork. Assuming you have that sale and pulling out the required paperwork is a proven sales technique that can lead to a much higher closing percentage. So, what happens if the customer is not willing to pay an acceptable price for the vehicle? Well, then you sell that vehicle to the next customer. Remember, you're leading the transaction. You're the dealer. The vehicle is yours, and you decide on what that vehicle sells for. So if a customer wants a vehicle, they will purchase that vehicle from you. There's always a strong market for vehicles no matter what. So the longer you've set on that vehicle, the more likely you are to make that sale to another customer. So, hey, I hope you found this information very advantageous. This is a great time to get your dealer's license. So if you're thinking about getting a dealer's license, or maybe you've gotten your dealer's license and you're thinking about taking your revenue to a higher level, hopefully our videos are helpful for you. So thank you very much for watching the video, and I want to wish you the very best of luck with your business. Thank you very much.